Did you know you have to look like a model? You have to be perfect. You have to be the expert of experts to get started with video marketing. It's actually not true. You don't need any of those things. I'm going to explain why in just a second. But if you're just watching, if you're just getting to get acquainted with me, my name is Amani Channel. I'm the video fearless dude. I help folks build video muscle, which means I help business owners, service-based business owners attract leads, clients, build their following, build their influence all through video marketing, even if folks are terrified of making videos. So if you think you have to be perfect to get started, if you think you have to be the expert of experts, if you think you have to look like a model or some sort of TV star like the Kardashians or anything like that, don't worry about it. You actually need none of those things. There's actually the things that you need to actually get started are less than that, even when it comes to the equipment or just how you are. And that's what I want to talk about in this video. The most important thing you can do is, first of all, tell stories. Stories that resonate with your audience, stories that take folks on a hero's journey or take folks on that journey of how you started off in your own personal journey, how you went through trials and tribulations, and how you had the discovery or the breakthrough that you can help your clients with. That's a little nugget. I'm actually going to get a bit deeper as we move forward in this 30 days of video marketing mini boot camp. But for now, I want to talk to you about storytelling, because it's really important. And there's actually 3 phases or 3 parts to any story, which I'm going to tell you all about shortly. But to start off with, what are the 3 things that the goal that you want to achieve? What are the 3 pillars of a successful video marketing campaign, or anything really? If you're in business, if you're looking for just success, right? There's only 3 things you need to do. The first thing you need to do is be consistent. The second thing you do is gain your confidence, and with that will come your credibility. All right, so those are kind of like the pillars that I'm basing this whole challenge on. You'll hopefully feel and start to experience that as you go through do the exercises with me. You don't have to do any of the homework or exercises that I'll probably have in the upcoming weeks or days, but you might want to, especially if you want to get started in your video marketing. All right, so let's talk about the story. Why is storytelling so important? Well, it's because that's the way we as humans communicate. We've communicated through the ages with stories, especially even to now, right? When you think about people, when they come home from a hard day's work, you sit down, you tell your loved one, your significant other, the story about your day. If your son had a successful day on the ball field or a great ball game, you probably tell the story about how he went and did this phenomenal shot or saved the day by getting the last touchdown, or whatever it may be, how he had this success and whatever thing he was trying to do or accomplish. All right, so that's how we all communicate, is via stories. Let's just get that established. So I'm going to tell this story through my 11-year-old son who plays baseball, because back when he was, I think he was about 3 years old, is when he first started learning how to swing. He started playing t-ball when he was 4. And right after his first season of playing t-ball, we were at the batting cages with another family friend whose son was around the same age as my son. And it was my son's turn to bat. And yes, he was a little guy. He had a helmet on, but he didn't have one of those front face masks. And I wasn't in the cage with him. My son's friend's dad was in the batting cage with him. And all I remember hearing was, "My eye! My eye!" It was a blood-curdling scream. His nose was bleeding, so I rushed in there. I knew what happened immediately. He got hit in the eye by a rogue ball from the pitching machine. I rushed him to the bathroom, got some ice on his nose and on his eye area, rushed him to the emergency room. Turns out my son had a fractured orbital and fractured eye socket. Fractured nose and fractured orbital, rather. All right, so he still played the baseball the next year in the Little League, but he really struggled. He was scared of the pitching machine because the next level was, I think it was called Pee Wee 1, and they played with the pitching machine, and he was completely terrified of the pitching machine. So he stepped out of the batter's box every time the ball came. He didn't get any hits. I think any hits that he got were from the coach pitch, because I think after 2 strikes they let the coach pitch. But anyways, so my wife and I, we really decided that was the end of his baseball career. We were like, no more baseball for you, Devin. You know, it's just not the sport for you, we were thinking, especially after his injury. So he took the next year off. Well, it turns out when he turned 7, he was like, I want to play baseball again. And my wife and I were like, oh, okay, if you want to play baseball again. Like, I figured his career was over, but he said he wanted to play baseball again. And it turns out that another family friend of the family was the coach of this team, and he ended up getting Devin on the team. So that was a good thing. But by the second or third game, Devin had a meltdown. He was really rusty. He wasn't hitting. He couldn't catch. He wasn't throwing well. He was striking out every time he was at the plate. He had a meltdown. He said he wanted to quit the team. It was really an emotional moment because he was crying. He turned his back on his coach. I wanted to thump him, but didn't do any of that. But his coach said, "Look, Devin, you just need to practice." And so I got a tee for him. He said, "You need to hit off the tee. You need to practice your swings. You need to play catch with your dad, all those things." Now, at the time, my son thought the tees were for t-ball and the tees were for babies. So he was really reluctant to start practicing on the tee. And I work with a former MLB player at work. And he said, "Look, tell Devin that all professionals, that's all we do is hit off the tee. That's all we do when we practice. That we carry tees with us. That is the way you put in the work." And I told that to Devin. And so he started getting really serious about his tee work. So we go practicing hitting off the tee after school. He would almost come home and demand that I practice with him. We practice baseball. And so by the third or fourth game, he had his breakthrough. He started to make contact with the ball. He started to get hits. He started to catch, started to throw a little bit better. His skills just slowly started to improve. And he got better and better. And there was a year he made the all-star team. He made the travel team for Smyrna Little League, which is where we used to play in Georgia. And now he plays on the travel team, and he pitches and he's doing fairly well. All right, but what was it about Devin that allowed him to go from really failure to success? All right, yes, it was baseball. What did he do? First of all, he was consistent with his practicing, with the work that he put in. He was very consistent. He practiced every day with me. Like when I get home from work, it was like I had to practice with him. He'd get mad if I didn't practice with him. And with that came the confidence. He knew that he could make contact. He could hit the ball when he started playing baseball. And with that came his credibility, where he was able to build his credibility in his league to where coaches wanted to draft him on their team. He made the all-star team, he made the travel team, etc. So what does that have to do with you making videos? Well, if you're a little bit, camera shy, if you're a little bit still haven't pulled the trigger on making videos, just know that you need to get consistent. With that will come your confidence, and with that will come all the benefits of making videos. The credibility, the interviews, the ask to speak at conferences, even though it may be virtually these days, whatever it is, the attracting leads, clients, building your following, building your influence, all the above. And all you really need to do is start telling stories, telling authentic stories, telling stories of your experience. You notice the first 2 days, yesterday I shared my own personal story. Today I shared the story of my son. And storytelling is definitely a part of when I make videos. You got to tell stories of failure to success. There's all sorts of different frameworks you can use. I'm going to get into that in more detail as we move forward. But remember, you got to tell stories, all right? You got to tell stories. That's really important. Now, at the beginning of this video, I told you that I tell you the 3 elements of any great story. And I'm going to share that with you now. If you're still watching, this is a bonus tip for you. So every story must have first of all, it has to have a beginning. And this goes back to when I was a news reporter, right? My assistant news director, when he'd be looking over my scripts, he'd be like, does this story have a beginning, a middle, an end channel? Does it have a person that the audience can relate to help you get into the story, etc.? And so these are the 3. First of all, it has to have a beginning, it has to have a middle, and it has to have an end, right? Once upon a time, there was 3 little bears, right? Whatever the beginning is, the middle is when Goldilocks ate their porridge, and the end of it was whatever the end of that story was. She found the porridge that tasted oh so right, whatever it was. I forget the moral of that story. But you get the picture, right? So your story has to have a beginning, middle, and end. So whenever you're making a story, make sure that you're telling stories that relate to your audience, that take them from a failure to success mode, and that entertains them a little bit. You want to throw some entertainment, humor always helps. I'm going to get into all that stuff as we move forward, but make sure it has a beginning, middle, and end. Now, if you're seeing this on YouTube, be sure to like this video, subscribe to this channel if you want to make sure you don't miss a day of this challenge. And if you like this content, if you love this content so far, if you want to book a 30-minute free video strategy call with me, there should be a link in the description, as well as links to all the gear I use and all sorts of other tricks. There's a link to my Facebook group, which is called the Video Confidence Accelerator. All sorts of nuggets are in the description of this video. But go ahead and share this with someone who you think it may benefit. Encourage them to join in the challenge, or learn these 30 days, 30 videos with me as we move forward. So share this with a friend who might benefit from this information. And I'll talk to you tomorrow. Peace.